You know what I wanted to do right there had to be, you know what I mean? I just want to catch a vibe with this kid right now, man. And you know, he's been doing this for quite some time, and it's some people you just can't really put in a box,
right?
You know what I mean? And that's when I call them Renaissance guys. I call you that, Eric Sermon. You're a Renaissance guy. Can't just put you in the box with all the music that you done, but
right.
You know, a lot of people met this dude just being on Nickelodeon, and you know, at the time, you know, I was working with Paramount, but prior to that, what was it, Viacom? You know, I was a part of the network, so Victoria Justice, you know, Ariana, all these folks, I was interviewing them, you know, for all these different shows that was under the umbrella. And what I realized about all those folks, they weren't just one thing. They weren't just, you know, thespians. They weren't just actors. They had a lot of ways they wanted to express themselves. And this young man right here, man, I really, when he first started rocking with Dolla $ign, and at the time when Dolla $ign and Wiz Khalifa was doing their thing, and he was a part of that as well. We going way back. You know, I was like, damn, who are these dudes? I always look at who's the dudes surrounding the dudes because nobody can do it by themselves, man. And then this dude has just been consistent with the Electric Dusk album, the Genesis project, and now this one that's been out for quite some time, but it's like the project that keeps on giving, man. I want to welcome this Grammy Award writer right now to our show today. Give it up for the one and only Leon Thomas.
LC!
What's up, man? What's good, y'all? How y'all feeling? Yeah, I
feeling blessed.
That.
Wait, you from Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Yeah.
Why you get so excited at that?
It's New York, that's why. That's how we do.
Exactly.
We always going to be hyped.
Okay. But what part of Brooklyn you grew up in?
Park Slope. Yeah, right near Prospect Park. And
It's nice over there.
The upper class part.
It's all right.
No, you know it was rich over this time.
That's the Cosby Show. That's the Cosby Show area.
Word?
Yeah. Lots of brownstones. Yeah.
A lot of you grew up in a brownstone?
No. I grew up in a regular crib. It was cool though.
Yeah. But you grew up around a lot of music, or what?
Absolutely. You know, my parents were musicians.
Nice.
You know, so you know, in Brooklyn they had a really cool circle who would come by and, you know, rehearse and vibe out. And I grew up backstage. They would open up for people like Shaka Khan, Earth, Wind and Fire.
Wow.
And yeah, they were doing some really cool stuff in the New York scene. They were the house band for the World Trade Center. So it was definitely a really amazing experience to just be around them and to soak up all of that musical energy. You know,
what was the first instrument you picked up?
I picked up the drums first. You know, I was like obsessed with jazz and artists like Art Blakey and Miles Davis and John Coltrane. I really didn't start listening to popular music till I was like 13, 14.
Wow.
So what was popular at that time?
Around that time, you know, you had like, you know, Andre 3000. I'm thinking like Soulja Boy was popping, 50 Cent. Like, it was just a lot going on. It was like a bunch of different eras coming all together. You know, but for me, I still started from the beginning of you know, the golden era of hip hop. You know, so Tribe Called Quest was how I got introduced, and I fell in love with that vibe. EPMD, you know what I'm saying? De La Soul. Just like, you know, the legends that really found ways to be Afrocentric and, you know, popular culture at the same time.
Okay, let's pull back on the claps, y'all. Just a little bit, man. Go.
Tyler trying to show love, right? He don't want to not clap because then you'll tell him that deserves a round of applause, Tyler.
I just like the origin story. Like when I listen to your music, you know, I like how you blend what they call genres. You know, you hear a lot of sonically, you hear a lot of noise places, you hear a lot of vibrations from different areas of music. So if you grew up liking, you know, Tribe Called Quest, you know, that makes sense to me.
Absolutely,
right? So you was into how Q-Tip and them
absolutely,
Shaheed produced.
Yeah, how they produce. You know, shout out to Bob Power. He was like one of my first like producers that really showed me how to work in Logic and even like the art of sampling. But, you know, to be real, I'm also a multi-instrumentalist, so I try my best to just like find ways to put bands together and really like turn up these songs, you know, turn it into a musical moment, and that's always going to be a blend.
As a kid growing up playing like live instruments, and then when you got finally introduced to hip hop and hearing music, popular music at a certain age, did it sound different to you? Were you able to pick up, like, wait a minute, that's sampled, that's not live? Were you able to just do that naturally?
Absolutely. You know, my stepdad was a producer too, so we had like a studio at the house, and for me, like, picking apart records was like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah,
growing
I
up,
figured.
like, you know, listening to music, my iPod was filled with all types of genres. So, you know, I definitely listen critically. But it's just all about the feeling and the vibe. And hip hop definitely really inspired me.
So
when we about to approach the 15th anniversary of Wiz Khalifa's Kush and OJ.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get that a round of applause.
See, Tyler's
That's
confused.
a round of applause. That's a round of applause. Shout out to Wiz.
What's your history with Wiz?
So I used to be signed to this label called Rostrum.
Yes.
And you know, we were kind of label mates at that point. And you know, around 18 years old, we started hanging out, and I learned a lot from Wiz. He's such a humble and kind spirit, and an absolute superstar. He understands brand, and you know, I learned a lot about how to build a team. I feel like music is a team sport, and he put some amazing characters around him, from Juicy J to Ty Dolla $ign, his whole clique. And I, you know, to this day, I'm still really thankful for those early days.
What do you remember though? Was it a urge, any urgency back then to, man, we're gonna make it, man, we're gonna reach a certain goal? Like, what was the spirit like back then?
Well, I feel like by the time I met Wiz, he was already a superstar.
Okay.
Black and Yellow was tearing up the
That's right.
charts.
That's true.
There was like
Right.
no like aspect of like, oh, we're gonna make it, y'all. You know, I feel like
They
it was
were
more
made.
so,
Yeah.
he was a made man making millions at that point. You know, but I was just really thankful to just be in his world. You know, shout out to even like a lot of the amazing entrepreneurs around him, like Burner, who started Cookies. I was
Yes.
able to see Burner build $1 billion company.
So you were there in the
from
beginning.
scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, to like see what that was before, you know, marijuana was legalized, just to see how he was able to operate and really form an amazing corporation in Cookies.
You took that. What part of that, the business aspect, have you carried with you when it comes to your music?
Well, it's crazy. I was at his condo early on, Burner, I'm speaking about, and he was just explaining how music is a means to bigger business, and how there's all types of ways to transfer what we do in music into a material item. And he was saying I should be selling merch at that time. He was like, yeah, you don't got any T-shirts on your page or this or that. He was like, yo, you have to find a way to sell something that's tangible. And I always kept that with me, and now I'm doing collabs with amazing clothing lines, and you know, really building that, you know, kind of business line for myself, you know.
Yeah, look at Eric Sermon just smiling at you, man.
yeah,
No,
and shaking his head
Listen,
in agreement.
It's because the people don't know that part about the business. The music is just the vehicle to get you to where you need to go to for big business in this era. You know what I'm saying? Because people be like, there's no money being made, but there is money being made. But you do need that other part to go along with it to make sure you're okay. That means touring and merchandise. So.
So tell me about these collaborations and how can I get some free stuff?
I got you, man. You know,
I'm just saying, man. I'm right here,
I'm
bro.
doing something real fly with this brand called 40s and Shorties, and we're about to drop something really dope, and a nice capsule. And shout out to my merch as well. You can definitely find that on my website.
Like 40 ounces?
But he still want it for free, though.
Yeah, for free. No. We got you. We got some dope hoodies on the way. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be fly.
Man, I made sure you got that MTV interview years
got
ago,
you.
man.
Oh, my God!
I was, that was because
See
of
how
me,
they do
dog.
me?
That
Wow.
was me. Wow.
Wait, go ahead, Trace.
It's so good to meet you, even if virtually, Leon. You have incredible energy. You've been able to accomplish so much. You still have so much of life ahead of you. When you were talking about Wiz and you mentioned how you view music as a team sport, that really sparked something in me, because nowadays, with the internet, with all of these tools, you definitely have artists that are, you know, kind of like a one man or one woman or one day band, where they can be at home and create their own production, be their own engineer. You know, they don't have to go into studios. You're getting, you know, the verses emailed to you. And so in that way, there is a lot of autonomy, and you're able to kind of tap into your individualism. But then you kind of forget to balance it with community. and the strength in that, in collectivism. Can you speak on both sides of you? The difference between Leon Thomas when he is an individual and then Leon Thomas within a group setting, and the benefits of both.
Yeah, I mean, as a creative, I'm a little antisocial sometimes. I might just be in the studio by myself doing my thing. There's like certain collaborators that I love to work with, and I keep it a pretty tight circle when it comes to that. But when it comes to marketing and when it comes to, really finding ways to push this music to the people, I think it's really beneficial to be in a collective, because you have something called cross-pollination, where they have a whole group of fans that have nothing to do with my group, and we can both trade groups of people and collect a collective consciousness, essentially, that can add to numbers, really help us push this whole mission forward. And shout out to Dolla and Easy Money. There's some new artists coming in, and I'm really excited to continue that mindset, with Ty and the rest of the gang.
Hell yeah.
I like that, man. Mike Muse, you wanna jump in there? They're in New York, by the way.
Hometown.
I can tell. Yeah.
I actually live right by Park Slope too. I'm in Prospect Heights.
Word. Yeah, you know the vibe.
I be taking my laps around the park.
It's a beautiful park.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike, my bad.
No, it's okay. Leon, so great to meet you. And I just wanted to say that your idea for collaborations is paying off. I was just texting Sway that I was going to text him about a month ago, like, yo, have you heard this remix with Chris Brown, Mutt? It is my jam, and that's how I got discovered by you. You're doing so many great works. I'm just curious, how did you think about Chris Brown specifically to do that remix with?
Well, that was an idea that was proposed by the label, but it was also a creative idea that we had always dreamed of. It's just sometimes when you're dealing with these superstars, like, you never know if they're going to be receptive to the creative collaboration. But Chris has been nothing but cool to me. Every time I see him out at a party or something, he shows love, invites me to the table. He's just really dope. So I'm glad that it worked out, and he really sang. I mean, he was up there doing his thing, so I'm glad that people are receiving it with open arms.
Sway and Eric are working on a show called Beats and Bars, and they're looking for the next best MC and the next best producer from different regions. I watched some of it. I watched the tape and I watched the audition process, and I'm always curious as to what do you look for in a person in terms of talent? They saw a lot of talented people in the past couple of days in terms of producers and artists. But what do you look for now? Because you can't tell anymore where people are from. It used to be like, oh, you're definitely from Cali. You definitely from New York.
Right.
What do you look for now?
I just look for honesty. I feel like there's a lot of rappers who can rap fast. There's a lot of rappers, who have, intricate bars. But I think honesty and culture, if you can really have that shine through within whatever piece of music that you're doing, I think that'll really resonate. And then when it comes to producers, the biggest thing for me is just I can tell the producers that did the homework, studied the greats prior to the 80s and like understand what a Quincy Jones means to this whole music thing, and sometimes that's space. Sometimes it's not adding a bunch of different sounds in one track. It's just about helping the artist or the songwriter tell the story.
Yeah, dope.
What did it mean to you to work in and around Babyface?
Oh man, he's such a legend.
Yeah,
and it's so cool, to see him at his legend status still do tours, and he just announced
Uncle
an
Charlie
amazing
Cookout.
tour. Yeah, the Uncle Charlie's Cookout.
Yeah.
I'm definitely popping up to that one for sure. But when I first came to LA, I was on the show Victorious, and I was trying to find a studio to work out of, and luckily I met Babyface around 18, 17 years old, and he opened up a room for me and my production partner Chris Riddick Tynes, and told us we could come in there anytime and just create freely. And that's the kind of moment of a legend paying it forward that is really paid off. And I'm just so thankful for him. He's a real mentor. He was like my Mr. Miyagi. You know what I mean?
Right.
Coming in, learning how to write
Yeah.
these songs and like vibe out. Yeah.
Is it because of your parents that you met him? Something like, how do you just meet
Nah,
Babyface?
well, I mean,
Right.
Columbia
you
Records.
just like, you know what I mean? Like,
I gotta shout out Columbia Records. I used to be
okay.
signed to them, and I mean, there's not a lot of young black R&B artists playing acoustic guitar and writing songs. So they were like, well, realistically, that would be like probably the best fit, and they weren't wrong. You know, meeting Babyface definitely changed my life.
Toni Braxton.
Yeah, Toni Braxton. Yeah.
What was that like?
That was amazing. You know, they were doing a duet album. And just to be around that legendary energy was phenomenal. You know, we were so young around that time. You know? She was definitely like, you know, auntie, like, sit down. You know what I mean? Kind of definitely not playing any games with us, but like, luckily, you know, we had an opportunity to be on one song on that album that they did, and it ended up winning a Grammy, which is cool. 21.
A clap, Tyler. A clap.
That's a clap.
Get that man a Grammy, man.
Yeah, word.
You look happy, brother.
I am happy, man.
Yeah.
You should be.
Right?
Shoot.
Yeah.
Success like that, you know, people, they dream about that, you know. Even though he was around it, but now he was able to do it himself. My song came out. I'm an artist now, and I won, you know.
Yeah.
So
you feel that kind of gratification?
It's great to feel seen.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like in music, it's hard. It's a lot of millions of people jumping up and down like I'm right here. I'm right here. So it's great right now to feel seen and heard by the world. It's not even. I mean, my friend's in the military, and he was like, "Man, I'm on a military base, and you got like everybody, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, singing your song." He's like, "That's a big deal. Wow. You know, this isn't. We're in a foreign country right now, and you know that's a big deal to me."
Man, congratulations,
man. Bro.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it.
that.
You write that truth, too, man. I know a lot of people talk about Mutt, and you just being just a scandalous, you know, individual, but being honest
After all
with
that
you.
praise, you're going to just drop him right back down this way, huh?
Yeah. That's the way, being a low vibration man at some point. You know, getting nothing from me, but I'm a Mutt. But one of my favorite songs, because you don't hear men talk about the emotions they feel when you really got the person on that's on your heart, on your mind, and they not answering their phone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man, answer your phone.
Shout out to Diane Warren. You know, I went and sat down with one of my favorite producers, Jeff Giddy, and you know, we sat down. I played him the whole album. And he was like, "Man, this is very braggadocious, very like masculine." But he was like, "You need a song like a pleading record." So luckily that same week, I got hit up by the legendary Diane Warren. She's had like the most number ones.
Yeah.
Songwriter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And I sat down with her, and she, you know, went to the piano and played me "Answer Your Phone." And it was so cool because there was no demo. It was just her singing it, you know. But I felt it, and I resonated with it. And it was probably one of the only songs on the album that I didn't write fully. And you know, I really respect her for you know lending me that record. That was beautiful.
You ever felt that way though? About
for sure.
In a relationship or with a
Yeah, man, I've been in love plenty of times, you know. And you know, when it doesn't work out is when you have that feeling of, you know, being separated from that human being and still wanting that connection. But boundaries are important. Yeah, Answer Your Phone is a great example of being on the other side of that boundary.
I was okay this month until you brought that up because that song, I'm going through it at this moment because again, I mean, y'all messed me up just now.
I'm about to dig a little deeper.
It's gonna be all right, brother.
I'm about to dig a little deeper. I ain't turning the knife for you, E. But you mentioned Diane Warren, and she has had like so many nominations, even in terms of the Academy Awards, and never taken over. It's been like 16 nominations, something crazy, and never taken that Song of the Year, Record of the Year. What? Lady London sat here the other day and said that music is the only game that the best players probably don't get enough time. They don't get the love, they don't get heard, they don't get the recognition. What do you think it is with Diane Warren? Because at this point, it's almost weird that to write a song like this that three men never sat here and talked about before, but can all relate to this song written by a woman, by the way.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that she's not getting that acknowledgement?
Well, I personally am always going to give Diane Warren her flowers,
Period.
you know, just because I have pure respect for great wordsmiths, and she's definitely one of those. But I think this entire industry, regardless of how old you are, is high school. You know, it's like a popularity contest, and it's very political. You know, there's smart people in high schools all over the country who don't always, you know, get to sit at the cool kids table. And I think there's a there's like all of these moments that sometimes you have to be more political about. But I think, you know, her time is coming when it comes to that Academy Award. It's gonna happen for her, and I'm gonna continue to speak that into existence.
Amen.
She's so wonderful. She's an amazing songwriter.
It's dope of you to say.
Well
You're
said.
wonderful too, bro. Man,
Yeah.
I like you, bro.
Yeah, the personality. Yeah,
I like
yeah.
right?
No, you gotta and stay like that. That humbleness is what that we're here too. Like, you know, again, this is 37 years for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like, people always used to ask me, Russell Simmons used to always be like, listen, just stay humble. You know, didn't know what it meant because I was too young to know what humble was at the time. But I'm also an introvert though too. Like I said, I was always a person who, you know, when I was doing my thing, you know, whatever, it was just me. So I was me and Redman, me and Keith, me and Method. It wasn't I didn't have a team. I never had what Dre and them had. It was only me. I did everything. So I was, you know, that's what I was like. So I'm like this now. So when Sway be like, yo, E, come to the back. I don't know nothing about being that. I'm only a humble person. But it gets you everywhere. Because, again, you go up, you coming down.
That's real.
And I'm going to see you on the way down. And remember I asked you for a piece of cake? You didn't give me that.
No, for real. Yeah, I understand that.
But you've had quite a journey to this point. I want to ask you another question. I want to ask you about Dancing with Demons. But before I do that, I feel like if he tell this story of why Answer Your Phone really resonated with him, through this story, you could probably write another song for the upcoming EP.
For
or
sure.
something.
Yeah.
What's going
I
on?
like
that
See, he turned the knife. I said I wouldn't, and you see what your man did.
Come on, stop. Don't do
to us,
that.
man. I mean, because you know, Leon might catch a vibe off that. And
Nah, it's just everything. Like, except for, the heart is the heart. Like, you can talk mess and you can be angry and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, though, that person that you in love with and that you missing stuff, you look for that text. And then hours go by and that phone doesn't ring. And then you make the text, and then I do the thing where you hit the phone and then you hang it up.
Yeah.
So hopefully she say, "Oh, I missed your call." It don't happen.
It don't happen. Man, you know, it's crazy that no matter what age you at, you still go through this shit.
No, for real. It's
The heart is the heart.
The heart is the heart.
That's the title. That's the title of the song. We did it.
Yeah, the heart is the heart. That's it. We got it.
Right.
Part two.
What do you, just in general, do you have demons you dance with today?
Well, you know, that record was really interesting for me because I was at the house and I was starting to get creative at the home. You know, I got all of this art, you know, from random places. I put it all around, did new interior design, so it just felt like a creative space. Set up a drum set in that same room. And was just like really getting super creative for about 3 weeks. I was also microdosing on shrooms at the time.
Okay.
You know, so that record was like more so just talking about Hollywood and how many different energies are out here. And in order to kind of climb this mountain to get to where, you know, my version of success is, you know, sometimes it feels like you're dancing with demons in order to get to what you want. And same thing can even happen when you're trying to date to find your person. You're like out at a club and this girl looks beautiful, but you know her soul ain't right. Once again, dancing with demons. So it's not like I have demons. I just think there's so many, you know, things that come in, like energies that come on your journey that can definitely, you know, deter you from your mission.
Shit, man, he just summed
You
it
seem
up.
like he tapped on you now.
Now you got me. You got me in Eric and right now.
Okay, so explain your demons.
That's right. Flip it.
Well, you know, I've always been in a position in the industry. I was telling him I got into music, playing clarinet, playing saxophone. My brother played drums. My sister played the flute. You know, learning how to read and write music, like technically, you know, and then getting into hip hop, we start making music, right? But I immediately put myself in a position where I'm a person you come to, right, for opportunity, you know, way before MTV, you know, for Sway, my partner King Tech, Sway and Tech, World Fame, Wake Up Show, the whole nine, KMEL, all these different radio stations, and you could, we're spiritually rooted and grounded people.
Right.
So you can see the matrix.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You can see through the
you
facades.
can see through it. And so sometimes I know it's people in my proximity that don't really care about me or whatever, you know. But, and so those are the kind of demons I had to deal with as a younger person. I'm so protected now that it doesn't even it don't even scar me, or it has, you know. In fact, I try to reverse the energy on folks, you know, and help them see it through a different light, you know. Which is why I wanted to have you on the show.
I appreciate
because
that.
listening to your music over the years, I know you got some illumination on you, right? Yes. I know you got, and it's the reason why your music, the vibrations that you are creating are appealing to people across the board, where your friend could tell you, I'm in the service, and you got all kind of folks that's tapped into your music. And I think you're doing it right, because I think you're doing it honestly. Right. You know, and so those are these songs also resonate. I know Mud is the one that, you know, the Freddie Gibbs version, the regular version, you know, the Chris Brown version, but it was other things that I was able to tap in that went deeper.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we needed that hook, though. We need the hook to get everybody into, and, you know, it's like a fun song to dance to at the club, but it's nice now that, like, people will get introduced to that and then go on this musical journey with me, you know, really understand my brain more.
But we need these YNs, what they call YNs now. You know, whatever. But again, we need people like you. And not because you're here, man. We need that. Again, our conversation is not right now. Right. So if you can give any type of conversation where you can get insight to teach somebody something and give them something that they're hearing right now, is just way better. So we need a whole bunch of you to come out.
I appreciate it. I mean, there's plenty of geniuses out there, you know, doing their thing. These, you know, the kind of artists that I'm around and that I see so much light in that haven't necessarily had their moment. There's so many amazing minds.
Name a few to give them some props.
Okay, just to give them some props. I bet. You know, there's this artist McGee that's not necessarily. McGee's not necessarily around me, but I feel like he's one of those artists that's going to be so important to this next generation of music. Yeah, McGee. He's like a wonderful artist that I'm like a huge fan of.
Okay.
Dope.
You know, and then even like the guys who are working on production with me right now, my boy Freaky Rob, guitarist, but I feel like when he steps into his artist bag, he's going to change the world on some Jimi Hendrix stuff, you know? You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I'm really excited for people to see like the world of geniuses around me, and I'm going to continue to just like shout them out when I can, you know?
Then what do you say to the artists that like E and Sway are speaking with and seeing through this Beats and Bars series, who have been doing music now for 10 years, 15 years, producers, and can't get a break? Like, so many of them express frustration, and they get to a competition like this, and they're not going to be picked, and they feel, their dreams feel crushed. You know, I saw tears. Yeah. You know, what do you say to that person then?
It's about the platform, not the trophy. I think, you know, using this moment of exposure, I mean, it's like Jennifer Hudson didn't win the whole thing, but she's the one with the talk show, like going in,
right,
like, you know,
the Oscar,
the Oscar. Right. Yes, let's get into it. Like, I mean, it's, you know, these competitions are just a really great opportunity for you to gain more exposure, and you never know what kind of relationships that can be built, you know, from that.
Right. Well said.
I like this guy, man.
Yeah, me too.
I know I know you got other shit to do, but I might.
Sway in the morning, baby.
Hey, man, my God, you got a tour coming up?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Listen, man. I think first of all, I would love to get McGee, and who was the other artist you said?
Yo, Freaky Rob. You gotta meet him. Yeah,
Freaky Rob. His name is Freaky Rob. Dog.
Yo, listen.
Yeah, Mutt.
Kendrick gave him that name.
Oh, Kendrick gave him.
He used to play guitar for Kendrick. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. That's a
him
good.
And David
He's
Phelps,
freaky because he's like this.
Oh, he's freaky on the.
Yeah, because again, the Mutt and the freak can.
Freaky ass
together,
Rob over there, man. All right. We're doing a lot here at Sirius XM now that, you know, we're in LA, and we got these beautiful studios, and I know J1 is somebody's a big fan. Man, we would love, like, come break those artists with us, man. Let's set up something live, man.
That's such a beautiful idea.
Man. I like that idea.
Man. We got a full-fledged thing downstairs. I got full access.
For sure.
And let's break some artists, man.
No, I'm with it, man. I'm with it.
You with that?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Okay, who we got to talk to? We good? We good? Okay, there you go. It was done. It's done.
Tamara said it. She said it. She said it.
It's done. Okay, we could do that. Congratulations on Coachella.
Thank you.
Oh,
man.
yes.
Wow, congrats.
Yeah, that was great, right?
Yeah, got to pop out there with Ty Dolla $ign and Money Long. You know, it was a busy weekend.
And y'all got that history together too with Money Long, right? Yeah. So,
well, yeah. I mean, you know, both of us being songwriters, you know, she definitely understands my journey in a real way, and even backstage was giving me so much amazing advice because she's going through the whole, campaign now, and I really appreciate her for sharing her stage. A lot of artists don't do that, and she had no incentive outside of just loving my music and respect to her.
Respect to her. You and Victoria connected again too. When she was there, right?
Yeah, Victoria Justice.
Yeah, with Victoria Justice. Well, y'all, do you see the past? You see the present? You see the? When you
that's
her?
my sister. That's my sister. We've literally traveled the world together. I mean, at this point, we even finished high school together because we were doing school backstage. She's a really close friend of mine. And it's so cool. Like the first thing we started talking about was how proud we were of each other. It's such a odd thing to go from spending every day with somebody to then only seeing them maybe once every 4 years or something. But we always like to let each other know, like, I see you, I respect you, I'm proud of you. That's like that's a real special part of it all.
A real day one right there.
A real day one.
We day ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Day ones.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to the new EP. I'm looking forward to everything you're doing, and I'm dead serious about let's break those artists, man. Let's give them a break here.
Let's break some artists. Let's lock it in. I got my new deluxe heel coming really soon.
Okay.
Some new records with some amazing artists. We'll let you know who those artists are very soon.
Okay.
But I got this record with Halle Bailey, and she's such an amazing artist, and I'm glad that we could connect because she really understands. It's a song called "I'd Rather Be Alone."
Rather be alone.
So when you guys get a chance, check that out. It's coming soon.
I got that. She been up here. Before the. I met her at a YouTube. When she and her sister first started the YouTube before being signed.
Wow.
I met her early. Her and her father. Her father used to be on the road with them, and they're so extremely talented. It makes sense that you guys got together to work together, man.
I'm really cool with Chloe too, so I'm excited to do a record with her.
Chloe's a very nice girl. I started off doing the Kanye West album first before we went to Italy and did Ty Dolla $ign. When I got to Italy, Ty Dolla $ign was there, took over my whole shit. I ain't get nothing. But because I started off in L.A. first. I started off the first time, and all of a sudden I go bury my mom's. I go to Italy. I'm like, it's 17 Ty Dolla $ign songs. I'm like, God damn, do I got anything? So I started off writing with Chloe. So me and Chloe would write the songs, and then Kanye would come in and then see what he wanted to do the whole night. So she was again, those girls too in Atlanta was doing all type of stuff at 11, 12, 13 years old. Wow. They dad had them in clubs and everything trying to get famous. So I was happy for them.
Savants. Yeah.
Anything you want to say in closing, brother?
Listen, man, I really appreciate you for sharing your platform.
Oh, man.
And for even, prior to me coming up here, just, showing love online. Everything counts, man, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I had to put out the back call.
Yeah, for real. Man, I was like, we got the sway back call.
Get this guy up here. What we doing?
Sway, Heather Lisa, this is huge.
Man, I love it, man. But, hey, listen, Leon Thomas, man. Absolutely.
No doubt. All day.
Yeah, all day, man.
All day.
Come on, man.